Good morning. Please join Ellery and Logan as we sing Be Still and Know That I Am God. It prepares us to listen to our children's message today.
Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am God.
Today's story is the Ark and the Tent for God, and it comes from Exodus. This is our piece of the desert. We have this piece of the desert here in our church to help us tell the stories from the Bible. So many things happened in the desert. We know that it is really hard to live in the desert, that when the sun beats down, it makes the sand so hot, you can't even walk on it. And when the wind blows, the sand can get in your eyes and in your clothes. It's very uncomfortable. Nobody lives in the desert unless they really have to. God led the people of Israel out of Egypt through the waters. And now they could go wherever they wanted to go. Now they were free. And they were headed towards the promised land, the land that God had promised to give them. God gave the people the 10 best ways to live. Not the 10 easiest ways to live, but the 10 best ways to live. And the people of God loved these 10 best ways so much that they wanted to carry them with them wherever they went. But they needed a special way to do that. And so God explained how to build the ark. And the people built the ark to hold the 10 best ways. And it was covered in gold, and it had angels on the top and poles so that the people could carry it wherever they went. I bet it was pretty heavy. Now they needed a way to get ready to come close to this. And so they built an altar for incense. And the priest would put the incense on the table, and they would light it, and the sweet smelling smoke would rise up. And now the priest would come close to the sweet smelling smoke and know that they were coming close to God. But still, this wasn't enough. And so they built a shewbread table, and on it they would place 12 loaves of unleavened bread, 1 loaf for every tribe of Israel. And across would be the menorah. And the menorah was a large gold candlestick with 7 candles on it. So now the priest would go between the menorah and the shewbread table, past the sweet-smelling incense, and come close to God. But still, this wasn't enough to get ready. And so God explained how to build a tent. And the tent would go around all the elements. And they would put a veil up between the ark and the incense. And they created an outside room here and an inside room. And the inside room was also called the Holy of Holies. So now the priest would go through the front, between the menorah and the shewbread table, past the sweet-smelling smoke, and into the Holy of Holies, and come close to God. But still, this wasn't enough. For people would come and bring their offerings, and so they placed an altar outside for the burnt offerings, and a large bowl of water called the laver, so that the priest could wash their hands and their feet before they went through the front, between the menorah and the shewbread table, past the sweet-smelling smoke, and into the Holy of Holies, where they would come close to God. Now they covered the top of the tent, and the first layer was woven linen with gold in it. And the second layer was woven goat hair. And the third layer was dyed red ram skin. And the last layer was tanned goat skin. And now if anybody was walking in the desert, they would just see the tanned goat skin. But still, this wasn't enough. And so they put a linen fence all the way around the tabernacle, the tent for God. And this tent would stretch all the way around. And now they had a special place for God. Now they had a special place to come close to God. And they wanted to have this with them wherever they went in the desert. And so every time they moved to a different place in the desert, they would take down the linen fence that went around the tabernacle. They would pack up all the covers on the tent. And all the pieces. And all the walls of the tent would get packed up. And they would carry this with them everywhere they went. They would carry the ark, and the ark would lead the way. We don't have the ark to hold the 10 best ways anymore. But we still have the 10 best ways to live. I wonder, where do those 10 best ways live now? Now let's listen to Jane as she reads our scripture verse to us.